Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How you doing, Steve?
Pretty good.
It's a little warmer out there today.
A little bit. It was cold when I woke up this morning and when I went to bed last night. It was 60, 59 degrees, depending on which thermostat I looked at in the house.
Yeah, it was like a nice weekend to work outside, but wow.
Yeah, and I'm not turning on the heater because it's 5. When I ordered some fuel the other day, it's $5.75 a gallon.
Yeah.
That's more than double what I paid at the beginning of last winter.
That's crazy. We have a new sponsor.
And you told me. I'm excited.
I know it. So the pictures on my computer, it doesn't look well at all. Good at all. We'll fix that for tomorrow. But
Well, yeah, we just need to darken it
we
up.
have to darken it up. But Wicked Awesome Adventures. So if you're in the mood for any sort of travel related thing, Christy Kibbe, reach out to her and she can hook you right up. A lot of people think travel agents cost money. So like, well, and I used to think that too before I was educated on the topic, of course. So they don't. Basically, anything you go, if you go on a cruise, if you go to a hotel, any of that, there's a fee built into every single one of those purchases that you do. So if you go on a website and buy it, that company gets paid through that.
Travelocity or
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to put those.
No, but I now
Yeah.
that I know this, that
Yeah, so-
travel agents are still around. I could have
Yes.
used one
So you
2
want to.
months ago.
And the nice thing with a travel agent is if you have an issue and you reach out to, say you went to Travelocity and got whatever, and you have an issue, good luck because you're going to have to deal with multiple people. You're never going to talk to the same person again. You're a number. Where if you deal with a local person, and it doesn't matter, which the good thing I was telling her, she's like, well, how many people do you think that, listen to the show every day? And like, I think real people, probably like 50 in our area, but also like your family listens in Texas. Nikki's family is in New York. And the thing is, even if you're in Texas, New York, California, it doesn't matter where you are, you can still use a travel agent and still get the deals. And she's always got deals and all that stuff going on. So I told her.
I could have used one 2 months ago. I got Zeta's tickets to Bozeman for college registration, and then I got some. So I had to do it all by myself, and so I was buying one leg at a time and trying to do it quick enough so that each leg would have an available ticket, because each one, when I looked it up, was like 2 or 3 seats left.
Yeah.
It would have been nice. I could have called her up and said,
And she knows all
this is what I want, and she could have done it for me and saved me
exactly
the hassle.
So if you have anything travel related, you can do flights, but hotels, you want to go to the Caribbean, you want to go on a cruise, you want to do any of that stuff. And I'm jealous because I've been friends with her on Facebook for many years, and she's always somewhere very nice. And I'm always like, oh man, I'd like to be there. Like she's always on a beach somewhere. But she knows all the ins and outs. If you have any issues or if you have any questions, especially now, like my questions would be like COVID policies, right? Like, what's the deal there? She can answer all that stuff. So reach out to her. Wicked Awesome Adventures.
Yeah, my buddy was caught off guard when he had to put a mask on to go down to Mexico or somewhere on the flight. He didn't think he had to.
Yeah. So she'd know all that stuff. And thank you for sponsoring the show. And I told her, because it's like I said, you should do it weekly. So if you want to do it weekly, you can do a week. You can do a week here and there, whatever you want to do. Just like North Us Fireworks, like we're going to have her on as a sponsor until, after the 4th, because that's our busy time of year. Once a year. And obviously Twin State Paving is busy during the summer. It's when they're doing the paving in the summer. But thank you to all our sponsors. And it amazes me that when someone reaches out like, hey, I want to sponsor your show. And I'm like, wow. Not only do people watch our show,
they don't
want to give us
past
money
the
at
first
yeah.
20 minutes.
Yes.
I think everybody's just like, yeah, it's Tim and Steve's talking about something crazy or whatever.
So, yeah, wanted to mention that first and talk about that. And Father's Day yesterday, you guys come over. We did brisket. Yeah, it wasn't bad. I used that like honey chipotle stuff I got from Arbichon's. There's a whole selection now of different rubs and stuff, and it was really good. You didn't taste it there's a lot of fat on the top. I left it on so that way it stayed really juicy.
Yeah, it was juicy.
And I can't wait to try that on a pork loin or something that it would stay on there. That'll be.
We brought some leftovers. I'm gonna try it. Well, I'm gonna not the rub. I'm gonna put the brisket on a baked potato for dinner tonight.
Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds really good.
There's this awesome place where I grew up. It's called Off the Road And my mom and dad went the other day, and of course they didn't get the stuffed baked potato like I recommended. They got hamburgers, and they were disappointed in the hamburgers. I'm like, you go to a barbecue joint to get the barbecue.
Yeah, not a hamburger.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're like the best hamburgers ever, like they
I mean,
sell it as that. But
yeah, well, hamburgers, I mean, they can be hit or miss. If the bread is off, tomato is not crisp enough. I don't know. I'm pretty picky with like hamburger. If I'm gonna pay more than $5 for a burger, like the burgers we got at the Car Nuts, perfect burgers for that type of environment.
Yeah.
Affordable,
Yep.
great tasting.
I say that's the only
And
burger
all I
you
had
get.
was like cheese and
That's it.
ketchup, and I put
Yeah.
relish on mine because
Yeah, I mean
sweet relish.
that is a $6 burger, but you got a drink and a little bag of chips. So all right, that's affordable. Heck, you go to McDonald's now and get a burger, which isn't a burger, and it's like, well, I went there for breakfast the other day, just the meal, whatever it was. I think it was I don't know, whatever.
Egg McMuffin or sausage
Yeah.
McMuffin.
$10.13 with tax. I'm like,
Yeah, I remember in
what?
high school going to Burger King, and it was like $5 for $5 on the Whoppers, and there'd be a car of 3 or 4 of us, teenagers, and then we would split the extra 2
Yeah.
between the 3 or 4 of us.
It used to take $20 to go to McDonald's, feed your whole family. Now it's like 70.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and like I said, I typically go there breakfast, here and there. I don't eat lunch. I try not to eat fast food. I try not to eat that food that's not good for me, obviously. And obviously, breakfast is not good for me there either. But I try to mix it up. Sometimes I like the sausage McMuffins there. So.
Nikki has a pretty strict no fast food policy. She has been stopping off and getting the sweet tea every once in a while from McDonald's because it's like 99 cents, or it was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Five Guys is about the only thing that she'll.
Love Five Guys burgers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Their bread is usually, if their bread is on, it's the whole thing is good.
the only
The
place,
jalapenos.
the only burger I've ever had better than Five Guys was on a Carnival cruise, Guy Fieri burger on there, and and you can go there.
I like how you pronounce his name properly.
Guy Fieri?
Yeah. I always think of the Saturday Night Live skit with, I don't know, Horatio Sands or whoever played him, but that's.
Yeah.
Turn your sunglasses backwards. Were you walking around the cruise with your sunglasses?
No.
in the back of your
No,
head?
no, 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 no.
You
No.
were eating the Guy Fieri or Fieri, however you
Fieri.
roll your tongue.
Yeah, so it's only on Carnival cruises too. So if you want to go on a cruise and have a Guy Fieri burger, reach out to Christy Kibbe. But let me tell you,
Callback.
yeah, but good, like so good.
Wasn't.
Yeah, like I said, this is the only burger place I've ever gone that I like better than Five Guys. Some people don't like Five Guys. I was like, really? I love Five Guys burgers. Like,
Well, when they first opened up, you'd get basically enough fries for 7 people with one.
oh yeah,
large fry.
fill it up,
Yeah.
dump it in the bag. Like it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
And then something changed, and it got less. And then lately, it seems like we've been getting a little bit more. I mean, we don't get it that often, but there's one.
No,
in Concord by
they
where she
were.
works.
Yeah. We were tearing that trail apart that day, and she brought us Five Guys, which, even all the way from Concord, it was still good. Like
Yeah.
it's just something between the cheese and yeah. Now you're making me hungry. So, my little brother, who's 16, will be 17 next month, graduated from Kearsarge. He did what is it, KAPD? I think it was Kearsarge Adult. I don't know, it wasn't day program because it wasn't day as night, but it was like an alternative kind of school, but you get your diploma. And so
So he's already graduated at 16.
graduated 16. He'll be 17 on the 5th of next month, but he's lucky there too. Like, so he went to this program, and they live in Sunapee, and asked my mom, I was like, did you have to pay for that? She's like, no, it's just, like, I don't know, Sunapee paid for it, whatever. So, yeah, it was tough for him in school, and when he was younger, he'd be sick a lot and wouldn't make it to school, whatever. But they graduated 16 kids. You want to talk about a setup? We need to really look at this setup that they had for next year for graduation for Newport, because as much as I love Newport and our setup, this setup was like a college. Like, they had a big platform, and they had TV screens on both sides, which they were down, I think, because it was so windy. I think it was like a safety thing that'll keep them towards the ground. But what a cool! And then they had these confetti shooters that shot out this confetti, the color of their school colors. They did it on the same thing they did on the football field, but But congratulations
Well,
to him.
Kearsarge also has a broader tax base than
It's true, but we could step up a
good
game
old
a little
Newport.
bit. I mean, we can't go that crazy, but if we could step it up a little bit. No, I was really impressed though with just the look and, I mean, we did fireworks, which, I mean, honest fireworks. That's pretty cool. But our credit, I was telling Lisa, she's like, man, I think we had like a perfect graduation day. I'm like, I think you had the best graduation day ever. Like the weather, it was just the most perfect day. Saturday.
We had the bleachers. The bleachers were filled up on both sides.
Yeah. This year, like the weather was perfect. I mean, if it was 90 degrees on Saturday, it would have been horrible. It was cold because it was windy and it was just not. We're out there for graduation. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I wore pants. My granddad's like, I don't ever recognize you with pants on, and so it was cold because, like I said, it was windy through there, and
So no tank top, muscle shirt.
no, sweatshirt, pants. Honestly, could have wore another. Like I had a thin shirt, I could have wore a heavy sweatshirt because it was. Then we went to my mom's, and a lot of the kids were like, "I'm gonna go in the house," and because she has a lawn all set up nice to have barbecues and stuff, and it was a little chilly. But
I mowed on Saturday, and I mowed with a long sleeve shirt and a sweatshirt and jeans and my muck boots.
my guess is that'll be the end of that weather. It's gonna change now, and
Even this morning, even though my house was still freezing, when I walked outside to water the garden, it's warm.
yeah.
Once
Well,
the sun hits you,
so this weekend on Mount Washington, it snowed.
I believe it.
And I see some pictures, and of course I should have took the pictures and just could have thrown them up, but I didn't. But yeah, if you want to look that up, Mount Washington, like the Cog Railroad going up there, like it snowed. And I'm like, wow.
When I went in 1998 to Moose River, it was sleeting on us. Granted, that's up in Maine towards
Right.
the Canadian border, but I never will forget that. It was cold.
Yeah. Well,
I
we had
slipped into the water. It was freezing.
oh yeah, I remember 5-6 years ago on a Memorial Day, it was like sleety snow. Like used to camp and then went home because it was like, no, this is not fun for this, and because Memorial Day weekend's usually the big kickoff weekend for the summer, and so I mean,
Yeah, all my friends in Texas have like 110-degree heat index, and they're complaining about that. I'm like, it's a little chilly out.
I heard that
I can't afford heating oil, so I can't turn my heat on.
You ain't kidding. And I got my garden started. I did a little more last night too. Adelina got in the loader with me and dumped some dirt and got in the excavator, and so I had a couple more after this. I gotta run to a job real quick and then go do that, and then.
Do you know how big your area is?
I think when it's done, because Andrea told me I should make it a little bigger than I had originally planned. She's like, even if you don't plan it, at least it'll be there and whatever. I think it's going to be probably 30 by 50-ish,
Oh, that's good. Size.
something like that. Maybe a little big. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, you
it's
need
good
some
size.
space because I got you 11
Yeah, I appreciate that.
winter squash that'll
I'll put those out. I got some
crawl out.
potatoes.
Plenty
I've
of
got
space. Oh yeah, I got a
cucumbers.
bag of potatoes. I'll give you two.
Nice.
The blue ones because you didn't buy any of the blue
Didn't get any of
Adirondacks.
the blue ones. I got red Yukon and
White.
white or something like that. I love potatoes too. Like that's.
But
my
the blue
favorite
ones are great. The blue Adirondacks, I'm telling you, I planted 40 of them out there in my garden.
thing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try.
Maybe more than 40. It's a whole row, so I don't know. The rows are 84 feet.
It looks good every time I pull up in here. Now I'm looking out there.
Yeah, I just got to finish the fence.
Just have to do it soon. But at least you got the fence part.
Yeah.
You have the structure up.
Yeah,
You just want to
sure.
put wire up so that keep little critters
Wire
out.
in the gate.
Yeah.
And I've caught the turkeys roaming around in there, and I found a few my smaller tomatoes that I think they stepped on, but I have replacement tomatoes for those. If
The ones you
they
have to
don't
watch
come
out
back.
for are the woodchucks. They're the ones that'll get in there and eat. It's weird. Woodchucks. So beavers take down trees. Obviously, they dam upriver. But woodchucks, woodchucks eat gardens and stuff. Like, I don't know.
I used to have one in the backyard. I don't know. There was one. Zeta said she thought it might have been the one from our yard that was right out. This was last year that it was run over. But yeah, I've had a big old woodchuck running around.
They're the ones that take the garden out. They're
I
the
say big old, like wattles.
yeah. I mean, they're cute, but if you have a garden, they're not cute because they'll eat your garden and all your hard work
Yeah,
goes.
so that's why I gotta get that wire up.
Yes.
It's not big enough to keep out the what are the rescue rangers? Chipmunks. So chipmunks can get through there, but
Yeah, we have tons of them at the barn. I saw a squirrel the other day too because we don't do a good job putting covers on the grain and stuff, and so we got corn and then the cow grain and stuff, and they run in and out. And one day,
You gotta keep those covered.
yeah, because the cost of the food, you don't want the.
Yeah, I was doing some. I'm going to do some research. We were talking about it, so I won't spoil it. But I'm looking at the cost of animal husbandry across the board. Kind of, it's my little research topic. I know I'd mentioned maybe doing the Kellyville Killers, but there's enough been on that. So maybe for Farming Fridays, look at the cost of to produce vegetables and meat.
Yeah, that'd be a perfect right up our alley.
Because
Kind of
we've hit on different topics across the country with the train decisions and rail cars and gas prices and
all that stuff.
mysterious cattle being blown over and killed simultaneously from a drought.
Yeah, drought and it's hot, crazy. Speaking of that, I'm looking for piglets if anyone has any. One guy reached out last night, but holy crap, I want $2.25 a piece. Last time I paid.
According to what I just looked up this morning, that's a little high.
Yeah, I have usually about $100 is what you pay for a piglet. Sometimes a little more. I think I paid.
Was it $2 a pound right now is the average?
I might have paid $150 each for my piglets that I got before that were, they were like 40 pounders or something like that. But I was like $2.25, man. I want 4, so I'm like that's a little steep because I need to put my boar and sow together again because she didn't get pregnant when she should have, or I thought she should have. So. Yeah, I definitely want some, so I can put some in the freezer for the end of the year. And then I like to take one of them and pig roast it. Do like a, like an actual pig roast. Not like the pig roast like you had at the.
You're going to bury it in the ground? I mean, you got an excavator. You can dig it up.
I could, but I was thinking something similar. Like I've got that big thing for doing barbecue chicken. I think do something with that. So cook a whole hog, which I've never done. I've watched it many times. I've seen. I'd obviously want to look into it a little more before I did it, but I think I'd like to try that. I think that would be pretty cool. Have a big party and have people come over and hopefully not mess it up.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Try it
while we can enjoy it.
Yeah, Maddox Lovely made the Newport News or the Newport High School News again. So I'm just gonna write what PJ wrote on his page. His coach and dad report on Maddox Lovely as she traveled to Nashua, New Hampshire to compete in the New Hampshire Hepathon. Is that how it is? Hepathon.
I can't see it.
Hepathon.
Heptathlon.
Championships. Maddox had a stellar weekend. Her regular season ended with a bang as she took home second on the weekend. And out of 7 events, she had 5 personal records and managed to eclipse the Newport High School record set in 2011 by Elise, right?
Yeah, I think so. Elise.
Rubchenko?
Rubchenuk?
I apologize if this person or if anyone, I'm horrible at pronouncing names. I will straight up be honest with you.
Elise. 2011.
Yeah.
Elise R.
Rubchenuk. Something like that. She scored 3,576 points on the weekend. So, awesome job, Maddox. Freshman, well, now sophomore, going into this next year. Awesome job. She got a big trophy, and yeah, no, that's great. Some great news coming out of Newport. And then today, high school, Lou Thompson Room, 5 o'clock, boys soccer. So if you're interested in boys soccer, middle school or high school, and then they want a parent or guardian that should attend if possible. And for some reason, if you can't make it, Jeff Miller, SEU43.org, name and grade for the fall so that he knows. What'd you find out there?
Oh, I didn't realize that HEP was for 7.
So it's 7 events.
Yep.
Wow.
100-meter hurdles, high jump, shot put, 200-meter dash, long jump, javelin, and 800-meter run.
That's crazy.
It's a general.
That's a lot of talent to do all those things.
You got to be in shape.
Yeah. Max is in shape.
No, I know, but I'm just saying to high jump, then you got to do a shot put. So, I mean, it's like
a lot of disciplines, yeah.
Not quite a decathlon.
No.
Right, that's 10.
I don't know. Yeah.
Isn't that what, decathlon?
Decathlon, yeah.
Those famous decathletes.
So, this weekend, we've talked about this a lot, but I'm super excited about it. It was Wings and Wheels on Saturday, 11 to 2 at Parlin Field. Hopefully the weather will be perfect, and I think there'll be a great turnout. Should be pretty cool. So I remember I was telling you about the donkey bingo tickets. Well, apparently after 2 hours, the donkeys wouldn't do their business, so they had to draw names out. Unfortunately, didn't win nothing, but it was kind of funny because the reason they stopped doing the cows is because what was it Steve Smith was saying? Well, they used to use cows that were kind of tamed that Ed Peckham had like trained or whatever, and then he stopped. He just has regular cows now that because he'd like show them and stuff for 4-H. So I don't know if you ever gone to the fair. These kids, a lot of them just kids, like control the cow. Like it's crazy. But so they went to donkeys, and then this is why they're doing the golden football thing with the high school now. Because I was like, man, I missed the cow flop bingo or whatever. Because it was just, what kind of luck, right? And cows usually poop a lot, but yeah, the donkeys just wouldn't do their business, so they had to draw them. But they tried.
Should have fed them.
Yeah, keep feeding them and feeding them.
No, you don't want to overfeed them.
No, because that had been a big.
Yeah, I mean that's good. I mean it didn't happen. They had a backup plan.
They did the backup plan. So, and then also the Saturday, Rolling Thunder's doing their event at the Moose, 4:30 to 10 o'clock. Roadhouse is the band, $25, and it's a barbecue dinner and band, and yeah, it's a good cause for Rolling Thunder. So, that's about my.
They got a Patrick Swayze lookalike in that band. You ever heard him play? Roadhouse.
Roadhouse play. I don't know if I've heard Roadhouse
That's
play. I know what you're talking about, though. My
I
mom
like
used to love that movie.
Yeah, it's kind of a cheesy.
My mom loved it because she saw. I think that was the one she saw. Patrick Swayze's Hind End.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that was always funny. My mom.
That's so realistic. That'd be like writing a movie about rigging the cow plot bingo in a small town like ours. I could probably pull that off.
How could you rig it?
You could sell that to Amazon or Netflix. Oh, you probably could have 5 years ago, but
That's true. Now it'd have to be the transsexual cow. Then they'd be interested. And then also, remember, Farmers Market is every Friday on the Common, 3 to 6. I've yet to get to that, but I've driven by a few times, and this time of year is kind of tough because you don't have a lot of harvest yet. But there's a lot of vendors, and they're still selling stuff, and I love it come fall because they've got lots and lots of product. But now strawberry season, and there's a lot of. I want to take the kids strawberry picking. Went to Wellwood Orchard last year, and that was a lot of fun. We got to plant some strawberries here too. We talked about that.
yeah, there's still room for the garden to grow. So.
Yeah.
But
We got another whole side of your lawn. We can.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could.
How
could
crazy do you
stretch
want to
that
go?
thing out, chop down a couple trees. There's some that are looking a little suspect. But
Devin could come in and start laying out trees too. We could make this happen.
make it look like it did in the 1800s
Yes.
with all the different plots of land. Because you can kind of tell with the stone fences,
Yeah,
or
because
stone walls.
so back in the 1800s, New Hampshire was 85% farmlands and only 15% trees. Now it's flip flopped. I don't know what the number is now. It's probably a little bit less because of a lot of housing and different things. But so when people talk about like the environment and keeping everything green and stuff, I'm like, well, we used to be 85%
Yeah, we're kind of
farmland,
there.
so,
Like this is.
yeah.
I like to look at this as country living.
Yeah,
It's just a little colder during the 7 months of winter.
very true. And the occasional weekend in June where I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it was cold.
So there's this is kind of local news to us. I have a New Hampshire story and I have this story. This is out of Easton, Mass. But a driver crashed into a Trump-themed store, injuring a person. And it's funny because I Googled this first because I saw the story. And then I'm like, I don't remember where I saw it. So when I Googled it, I just put in car drives in a Trump store. And top stories, there were 4 that came up that were like CBS, MUR, and so local stations. But if you go down through, there's like no CNN or any of these. Typically that would be like a story. But if
Yeah, well, it's
But
got to
if it
fit
was
the
a-
narrative.
yes,
It's a narrative that the mainstream media follows.
yeah, if this was an I Love Biden store and some deranged Trump person ran into it, it would be national news all over. But however, because it didn't fit here. But authorities in Massachusetts are investigating an incident where a car crashed through the front of a store selling pro-Trump merchandise, injuring a person. Easton Police Department said Thursday a driver of 2015 Volkswagen Jetta suffered non-life-threatening injuries when he drove into the New England for Trump store on Washington Street. And there's a video if you go online. It's pretty crazy. And an employee was standing in front door. An employee standing at the front door was just feet away from the area of the impact, and like this car literally crashes straight through the store. Crazy. Like this dude could have killed someone. And he's being charged with reckless operation of a vehicle, malice destruction of property, and additional charges could follow. So we talk about the tolerant left. Here's a perfect example of that. And then I saw this thing that
I would just add, if you want my commentary on that, is
sure.
When you say the tolerant left, the point is that people get so riled up over this stuff that they're taking their anger out, I think, on the wrong people. It's the system. Like, why are you getting so mad you're going to drive through the store? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if you're getting that upset about something, you should stop watching the news. Like, if it's making you so angry that you're like, you know what, let me just put this store out of business. Maybe I'll hurt somebody, maybe I won't. Like, there's something obviously going wrong in that person's mind, but it doesn't help with the foaming at the mouth type of comments that people make. And it's not every news, it's not all of them, but there's
no, but I think about
there are some news programs to where Trump is the devil, Biden's the devil, everybody's the devil, everybody's good versus evil. You must take. It's like, no, just go out and vote patriots. Not Republican or Democrat or even Libertarian, for that matter. Vote for people who are like, I want America to be put first.
Right.
I want money to come back to New Hampshire, to the homeless.
People that never have ran before,
They're not beholden to anyone, right? Because it's what happens is special interest gets a hold of everybody. But the problem is you can't get on the Republican or Democrat ballot without having massive donors. That's like part of the...
Well, even then, like
I say massive, but you gotta have donors,
right? Like Don Bolduc, who's running for Republican on the Republican ticket to take on Hassan this year. Last time he tried, he didn't. He had to fight like GOP because GOP didn't want him because he's not there mainstream enough, and of course he won't just follow party lines and whatever.
But so he also doesn't he have a home in Colorado or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
See, I always a little suspect of split time.
He's a general. He was a retired general, though. That's what I know. I was trying to get him on the show, but I've not succeeded at that yet. But at some point, we'll see. But it just shows the fact that he's outed because
you got to be in the party system.
Yeah, you have to be.
So it's not really it's not. Yeah, you can say they're free elections, but are they? You have
Not
to
really.
be beholden to somebody to get on the ticket, or you have to have write-in ballots, and it's hard to get.
Oh yeah, write-in just
thousands of people to write in your name. Maybe it's not that hard. Maybe that'll happen this year because that'll throw the voting machines for a loop, allegedly.
Yeah,
Write in your candidate's name.
Yeah. Then in Manchester, seems like the stories in Manchester are crazy, but 6 officers fire weapons during a deadly shooting in Manchester. The Attorney General's office is investigating deadly shooting involved officers. Obviously, they didn't release the names because they never do because they investigate. So no matter what, even if it's a police involved shooting,
reports are always
but
issues with them.
Apparently, the police on Sunday were responding to a domestic violence assault in a parking lot near Rite Aid on Mammoth Road in Manchester. And police officers were the first to arrive and were directed to a gray Toyota RAV4 where an adult woman was located walking away from the vehicle. Police began dialogue with a man who was armed and still in the vehicle and refused to be arrested. A standoff for more than an hour and a half ensued, and then around 2:05, the man identified as
Adnan Hasajanovich.
33 of Manchester was shot. The Attorney General office said the 6 officers fired their guns during the incident. 4 officers and 2 New Hampshire state troopers. No officers were hurt. And per protocol, they keep the names out. Crazy.
So did they shoot him?
That's what the story says.
Or did they fire at him?
They fired it. So Initial officers did have body cameras. Investigation will be reviewed whether those cameras record any portion of the incident. Manchester Police did have State Police. What? That's just reading the same thing. All the initial officers. And there's 2 state troopers are involved as well. They had body cameras on them. They also be reviewing any sort of footage, whether it's audio, video.
So it doesn't say that they even hit him, right? It says nobody was injured. So
It's very.
what are they?
But
shooting?
he was shot.
Oh, he was shot.
It says he was shot, and it says deadly shooting, so he must have been killed.
Well, that makes sense. They don't explain that very well, other than the
I will say for the record,
headline.
I took this story from MUR, which is not my favorite news network, but they do cover more of the local stuff. But it's not very well written, is it?
An autopsy scheduled for Monday to determine cause and manner of death.
But it doesn't say anything
I would
like.
suggest that it's probably a gunshot wound.
Well, that would. Yeah, there's a good chance, really good chance. But it doesn't say anything like, did he shoot at them or anything, which that's bizarre. Because the police officers aren't just going to open fire into a car.
Well,
Unless,
I hope.
well, yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Well, it's like the training we did with Chief. When the cops show up, and even if you're in a bad situation, they say, show me your hands, and you just need to follow instructions, right? Unless they're telling you to do something immoral, illegal, or unethical.
Right.
Follow the cops' instructions.
Right. I mean, and they knew he was armed, obviously, from the get-go. And domestics are the most dangerous thing for police officers because, especially in small towns, if you only have one officer, this is why I personally believe that all cruisers should have 2 officers no matter what, because it's such a danger as a police officer. But domestics are the most dangerous because they'll go there, say the man is assaulting the woman, and which is generally the case, but not always obviously the case. But so he would go to maybe arrest the guy or whatever, and all of a sudden the woman's like, "Oh my God, no, that's," like this thing kicks in, and that's why it's so dangerous because now the woman attacks the police officer, and it becomes this whole thing, and a lot of officers have been killed there in domestics because of that. And now the policy is, we could certainly talk to the chief on Thursday about this, but they arrest both parties, and then they figure out what's going on, kind of thing, which obviously is the safest thing because so many times you have an officer going in there to arrest the guy that was beating on his wife or whatever, and then she attacks a police officer because crazy.
And I'm sure it happens with same-sex relationships as well. So
Yeah, I don't think any of that.
2 women.
Yeah, don't think it matters. It's just the other party tends to, can't do that. So, craziness.
Are you sure that's not a Reno 911 episode you're thinking of?
No, no.
That happens in Reno 911 quite a few times.
Yeah, Reno 911's pretty funny. But yeah, no, that's real. So I have a meme of the day. I've had this for a while, but it kind of fits one of my stories at the end here. But of course, all scientists agree when you censor the ones that don't. That's facts, huh? Oops. And then this is another. It's kind of a meme too. But you see, over the weekend, Biden fell off his bike.
I did.
He was riding his bike in Delaware and stopped to talk to some people, whatever, and couldn't get his foot out of one of the things and fell to the ground. And normally I wouldn't pick on that, but honestly,
His feet were strapped into the pedals. Was he on a racing bike?
Apparently, yeah, it had those little, exactly, not like hooked in, but the little, like the little thing in the front that you slide him in,
which you use on a stationary bike.
Yes, similar to that. And he fell over. He wasn't hurt, but anyways, if that was Trump, that would have been all of them media and people laughing. So I was like, yeah, screw it. But then I found this meme that someone sent me. Happy Father's Day. it's Trump pushing Biden on a bike.
I saw a funny one where Biden was on training wheels.
Whatever. It was that he made that national world.
I mean, I feel at this point, I almost feel sorry for Biden because it appears to be abuse.
It seems like adult abuse.
And
very,
it all
very
could
much
be
does.
edited and everything else, but I get it. But at the same time,
I don't.
How old is Biden?
79.
Yeah, so my dad's about that age, and I wouldn't have him on a bicycle.
No, and it's not even like he's riding the bike, which is fine. I mean, I don't know why you'd have the things on the front that would make it harder for you to take your feet out.
Yeah, unless you're doing like Tour de France, why would
Right.
you have those clips on your shoes? I would, granted, I'd be made fun of by my brother, but on a charity ride, 'cause it was a charity ride, right?
No, I think he was just out riding.
Uh,
It's pretty typical for him because he rides his bike a lot, which is fine. It's good exercise and stuff, but it's just, I mean,
that's good that he's 79 years old and can still ride a bike up until
yeah.
the other day when he couldn't get his foot out. Which,
He got back on though after.
I mean, I've seen Nikki, because I have shoes, I just don't ride the stationary. We have a stationary bike, and I've seen Nikki get her foot stuck. So I mean, it happens.
Yeah,
It's still funny though because
yeah,
physical comedy is
yeah.
true comedy in my.
He was
Kramer made Seinfeld.
he was wearing his helmet, which was obviously smart, and he was fine. Obviously, the Secret Service were all kind of freaked out. Like if you're protecting this man and that happens, you'd be like, "Oh my goodness!" But yeah, he was fine. But there's,
I mean, even when I ride my bike seat is set so high that like when I get off of it, I'm touching the ground with my tiptoes because you want it to where your knees aren't all cramped. It's not like you're riding a BMX bike. I'm not making excuses. I think it's funny because it's tragic and it's also physical comedy to see him tumble
Right.
over like that. But
I almost was it last year? Last year we did a long ride for it was a Cody and Jerry ride, and it was this ride that we put on for these two gentlemen from Newport who had passed away in a motorcycle accident, and we got back to high school where the event was being held, where we had food and all that stuff, and I almost dropped the bike. Alan, my buddy, was in front of me and like grabbed it because like my hips had like were sore and they like kind of cramped up when Andrew got off the bike, and it was close. It almost went over. It was like, ooh. And then this last 2 weeks ago when we did that bike ride, or not this last week, the week before, when we got up to Enfield, I got off. I was like, ooh, kind of feel that hip again. Like, let's stretch this out a little bit. I don't want to fall off my bike when I stop my motorcycle. And especially if you go to the right, because the exhaust on that side, it's going to just sit there and burn you as it lays on you. So, yeah. And then we have this story. This is...
yeah, I saw this weekend.
Yeah, you were telling me about it, and I saw it. So, Hawaii teacher bragged about sex with a 13-year-old boy during lunch breaks. Shared the child porn with fellow teachers, and this is according to the feds. Aiden, whatever, was arrested Wednesday. The FBI agents at the
Oahu
High School, where he worked as a summer school teacher. And Honolulu FBI agents also executed a search warrant at this guy's house, and he was charged with distributing child pornography. And then also, the Hawaii public school teacher reportedly sent more than 3,300 messages to another teacher in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, including photos and videos. And according to the federal documents, the teacher in Philadelphia was arrested in October. And the documents claim that this guy was having sex with this boy during his lunch break. So that's just...
What was interesting when I saw this story is this gentleman, I wouldn't even call him that, this piece of garbage, allegedly, tweeted, I think, back in April, saying that everybody who's upset that we don't want teachers talking to kindergartners or any school kids, like, they shouldn't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
My personal point of view is
yeah, he wanted to teach kindergartners all the LGBTQ stuff
about
and all
sexuality,
right.
and he was, and you can look this up. It's out there. His tweet said something like, "You guys can't back up anything. We just want what's best for these kids, and you're projecting. You're the ones that want to do all these bad things." And then
come to find out,
2 months later, he's actually doing what they said
with a 13-year-old boy.
But he was accusing, conservatives of being upset with him because they're
right.
obviously like, why would you want to talk to them about this? You should be teaching them about math, reading, science,
right,
gymnastics.
Yeah, whatever
basic human health, like how to make sure you're brushing your teeth every day, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not anyway. The point is he was telling them that they're the bad people, and lo and behold, 2 months later, he's arrested with video evidence allegedly with him with a 13-year-old boy student.
Yeah, I mean,
Sending it out to other teachers. So it's concerning. Concerning.
Very concerning and just effed up. Like, what the heck?
I'm glad he was caught. Let's hope he gets punished.
Yeah.
I guess if he gets a certain judge, they'll be like, well, we can't be angry at him.
Yeah. So there was this.
I say that because there are examples of pedophiles getting very light sentences.
Yeah, the new Supreme
Not just
Court
in
justices.
the U.S., it's across the globe.
Mm-hmm. So there was there's this Google app. Is it Google or Amazon? But anyways, I heard it on the radio, and I didn't look it up before. It just kind of triggered this. But so there's some app that you can send messages, and they're like coded or something. Apparently, it's an app that
Signal?
Yeah, I don't know. Like sex offenders are using it,
Oh.
and Google refuses to help. Whatever it is, the FBI or whatever.
Well, that's like Twitter has a lot of child pornography allegedly on it somehow.
I don't know.
Would never look, and if it's true, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, these are just accusations that I've seen over the years, and
Right.
you know, you can't talk about COVID outside of certain boundaries, but then you can talk about this kind of stuff because that's free speech. Going back to your meme of the day with, you know, all scientists agree when you censor those who don't. This is what Twitter does, or did.
Well, yeah. Now they're trying to change it, and the employees at Twitter aren't liking that. But oh well, we'll see what happens. Musk still hasn't actually bought it yet.
No, but there was some Elon Musk news where he fired some SpaceX employees who were trying to be woke activists, telling him how to run his business because they're his employees, and it always just cracks me up. Like, if I owned a business and, you know, number one, they're damaging the business probably, you could argue, just as much as him, but it's his business. Like, he's the controlling.
Yeah,
He's
you're
the
just an
face of it.
employee.
So you're an employee. If you don't like his politics and he lets his politics be known, go find another job. And that's what he's helping them do, because he's like, well, obviously we're not a good fit, so you're fired.
Well, what was it? Last week we talked about how he told everyone that you either come back into the office or you're fired too, because people think, well, you can just work from home now because this is convenient. And I think there's some jobs that you can totally work from home, no issues, and do the same job, the same quality work and everything else. But there's a lot of jobs out there you cannot. Like, I think you could do, you know, medical scheduling from home if you have the internet connection and everything. I feel like that, you know, I feel like that's fine. But, you know, if you're, you know, a developer or something.
If you're customer relations, or if you're a scientist trying to develop rocket engines, some of it you might be able to, all right, go home for the next 2 weeks, work on this, come back, and let's see what we got. Like, take a break from the office. There might be some good to that, you know, like the hot shower theory, or
that's the whole
hot shower principle.
Like, the whole thing that happened with COVID was because now it was like it was easier for a lot of things, right? Well, I just don't have to go to work today, or I can work from home. And people forgot even more, like, no, it takes hard work to do these things.
Well, it's not just that. It's also the psychological. A lot of people are not around people for 2 years because of policies that were enacted, because of fear, for all kinds of different reasons. I mean, there are people who won't allow their family to come see their kids if they don't have 3 masks on, a plastic suit, and, you know, vaccines, all 9 of them, however many they have now.
Yeah.
Like that's your family, and you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of fear. And so I say that to say that, so you take that mindset, and now you're like, the same person who won't allow their mom and dad to come see the grandkids. You're like, all right, come on back to work. And then there's guys like me and you, they're like, you'll have to hold me down and commit a crime to inject that into me.
Yeah, good luck with that. I just don't get it. I don't like.
But you know what I mean? So they won't spend time with their own family, and now bosses are like, all right, come on back to work, and not everybody's required to get vaccines. You don't have to wear masks anymore. So there's a psychological thing that people have to deal with that they got to get over.
Yeah.
That my life is none of your concern. Worry about you, and I'll worry about me, and we'll meet in the middle and produce this rocket for Elon without getting political.
Yeah. Just do your damn job.
The audacity, I couldn't imagine. I don't like what you're doing, and publishing this letter and calling on the owner who pays your paycheck to change what they're doing. I mean, there are unions, right, to protect workers' rights. That's not what they were doing here. They were being just as activist as they're claiming that he is.
But he can be an activist because he owns a company. He can do whatever he wants.
Company.
If you want to go start your own company, which you can.
Right. That's what everybody said when they kicked everybody off Twitter. Go start your own. And so a few people had done that, and now they're trying to shut those down because they don't like them. Like, well, you don't get it both ways.
Yeah.
Either you have free speech, you allow people to live their life the way that they want to. All these different things, kind of add up and come back together. It's my own personal opinion. And let the chips fall where they may. Worry about you. You're not over here asking me if I took my heart medicine today.
Oh, before we even get into this, it just hit me that you just said that. So before we get into this topic, which may piss some people off, which is fine, or I will probably piss some people off.
Is this going to be a Tim's hot take?
No, you're staying in on this one. So Andrea went to the ER at Dartmouth on Friday night because, like, a year ago, was it a year ago? It was a year ago. Like, she had her appendix out, but because of, like, COVID and whatever, and Andrea doesn't want to be in the hospital or anything, they give her medicine saying, hey, you could take this medicine. This should probably help for a while, whatever. So she ended up going thinking it was that. And so she goes there. You know how sometimes they'll ask a woman, like, do you feel safe in your home, whatever? They ask her if she has access to firearms, and if so, are they secure? And she told them straight up, like, what business of the hospital to ask about firearms, guns, or anything else? I'm here for my health. And she, like, told them that. And
she wasn't even there for a mental health.
No.
It was there for physical pain.
Physical pain. Right.
Hey, I got issue with all this stuff.
Like, what freaking...
I get, so that was number one. So, Steve, now that I know this story, the next time I go to the doctor, because you got to go at least every couple of years, or they won't refill your prescriptions that you need, right? You got to get it like a once over. So I got to go here in the next few months, and my blood pressure will be up, and he'll be like, why is your blood pressure high? Are you taking your medicine? Yes, I am. I'm angry because of the questions that you're about to ask me, because all I want you to do is look me over and say, all right, do you have anything for me? And when I say no, say, thank you, Stephen. Have a nice day. We'll see you in a year or two. And refill my prescriptions and leave me alone. Instead, they're going to ask me questions about that. They're going to ask me, and they do it to older people as well. So it's not just so they're asking her about guns, which it's none of their business, especially in this case. I'd have been like, get out of my face. Like, just, I'm done with you. Like, send to the doctor, do whatever test you need to do, and send me on my way. Like, that's none of their business. But with older people, they ask probing questions as you get older so that they can try to, document that you may not need to be on your own in your own home. And maybe they need to assign somebody from the court to manage your estate. All because a doctor, you go in there and you're nervous, you stumble a word or two. Get out of here. Like, prescribe medicine if you can do that, and then get out of my life.
Yeah,
that's my hot take. Like, there's no business of asking, especially if you're in there for pain. Now, if you're in there and you're a psych hold or something.
Well, yeah, but that's so different.
Different because you want to keep them from hurting themselves or others. Yeah.
But dude,
get out of here. And that's Dartmouth Hitchcock, and they're real pro freedom.
Oh, and they're trying to take over every hospital around here.
They already have mostly.
Yeah, mostly have. But yeah,
another monopoly to where 7 people who sit around and drink coffee and
not coffee, probably tea.
Yeah, Soylent.
They're
vegan Soylent.
So, first of all, like HIPAA laws, even if she said something like that should have been part of the HIPAA law. So why would you ask this question unless you plan on taking whatever the information is and submitting
it to in a registry somewhere?
It's going somewhere, yeah.
That's why, hey, I got all kinds of, like, when I grew up, even at the bank, they wanted to verify a social security number. And my dad was like, No, here's my driver's license. This is who I am. You can look at it and see it's valid. I'm not giving it to you. And ever since then, I don't like giving out any information because that's what I saw as a child of being your personal space, guarding your data, right? So that my dad talked to me after that. It's like, hey, you don't just give out your social security number to anyone. You don't write it down. You don't leave it sitting around. And so took that lesson and I apply it to everything else. That doctor has no business knowing what goes on in my house unless I look like I've been beat up.
Right.
Because then maybe you need some intervention because
Right.
a lot of times people will excuse away violence and abuse. So I understand circumstantially, but just to have it as a standard questionnaire question when you're in there for, my side hurts and I've had this
Yeah.
history of my side hurting and everything else, and now all of a sudden they want to know about
Your firearms.
get out of here. Live free or die, or what? Talk to your doctor and let them plot everything out in your life to go into some system? No.
Yeah.
Wake up, people. Like, stop giving out information to people. Like, I'll overtalk and I'll sit down and talk with anybody, and you'll know way too much about my life if I welcome you into my life like that. But not a doctor. No. I see you every 2 years, and
For medical stuff, not firearms or anything else. What does that got to do with anybody?
how many baseball caps do you have in your house, Tim?
Right. And what color are they?
How much meat did you eat this week, Tim? Oh, wait, don't worry about it because we have this pill that we're going to give you, and whenever it dissolves, it'll send us all the information we need to know about you. And it'll let us know whether or not you're taking your medicine, because now I'm going to police you to make sure that we hold you compliant with anything that we say and that you can't go to anyone else other than us.
Let's keep in
That's
mind.
a slippery
That is a
slope.
real story, though.
Oh, I know.
A real story. It's a real thing. It's not something Steve just made up. We talked about like 2 weeks ago.
No, I know. It's
Like-
crazy. Dartmouth Hitchcock is getting too big, and it's going to fail. It should fail.
But it
they
can't
should
because
change that.
now it's so big that the government cannot allow it to fail. Because if Dartmouth goes out, there'd be all the hospitals are gone. So back with Carnegie, Rockefeller, all those guys, they set up all this stuff so that you couldn't have monopolies. Because Carnegie got a monopoly on steel, Rockefeller on oil. Like, they all had these monopolies. And that's when all these antitrust laws and all this stuff came in. Yet, our government still allows, like, Dartmouth Hitchcock to have a monopoly on the hospitals around here. Now they're all associated with Dartmouth Hitchcock. Just like power companies, lights are going to be doubling. You can't have, they have to be approved to increase their rates and all this crap. It's an all monopoly. Like, crazy.
I got nothing for. Personal responsibility, and that's all. That's all that matters. I believe that people are good enough to take care of themselves. You're smart enough to know that if you eat McDonald's for every meal, you're going to put on weight. It's unhealthy. You're getting all kinds of stuff, regardless of whatever you want to tell me. There's anything that you eat too much of can be a bad thing.
Right.
But you have the right to choose that. This is your life, not some bureaucrat, tea-sipping medical provider that may or may not have practiced medicine in the last 10 years, but sitting on some board at Dartmouth deciding what's best for you. Get out of my life.
Yeah. So this next story, the CDC now recommends COVID-19 vaccines for children under 5.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the head of the Center of Disease Control and Prevention announced the decision hours after advisory panel voted unanimously, that vaccines should be available for children as young as 6 months. We know millions of parents and caregivers are eager to get their young children vaccinated, and with today's decision, they can, doctor, whatever.
Number one, it's experiment. It is still experimental use authorization. EUA is in effect. It's an experiment. It's not a vaccine. It's supposed to protect you from COVID after you get I think they even now say the first 2 are pretty much useless. So you start getting some help allegedly at the 3rd and 4th ones, and
So let's keep in
come
mind.
on, people.
So Rand Paul was in the hearing the other day. Fauci was on. We just kind of talked about that because, Fauci doesn't ever like to answer Rand Paul's questions. But Rand Paul said that data shows that 80 people out of a million young people get, what is that? Myocarditis, which is
some type of heart issue.
Yes. So 80 out of a million. They said there's 18 million kids roughly available. So if you take in consideration that one side effect, and that's just that one side effect, so even if it's 80 out of a million, I don't think 80 children under age of 5 have died in this country with COVID, and if they have, they had severe underlying conditions, and that's a fact. And he also questioned him, saying, where's the study showing that this vaccine is going to help kids not be hospitalized? Then there was none. They only could say it as adults. When they wouldn't answer the question. There's absolutely no studies available whatsoever. Why would you put this crap in your young child like that?
Because people are scared. They truly believe that they can die from this, which, yes, some people have died from COVID-19, and the majority of them
were like 80 and up.
Well, they were older, and they had 4 or more comorbidities.
80% of everyone that died had 4 or more.
Right. So the best thing you can do is eat healthy, exercise, breathe in some fresh air.
Yeah.
Get some sunlight.
It's just nuts. They'll do anything to make money, and anything. I mean, they just threw away 82 million vaccines because they're expired and no one wanted them.
We probably paid for those.
Oh, we did pay for them. They weren't free. Pfizer and Moderna are rolling in money. Rolling in it. It's just crazy. I think the United States...
hey, I'm just asking for people to have some healthy skepticism. Like,
I want to say this.
Look at everything. They left the liquor stores open and shut down churches. Does that seem right to anybody?
No. I believe, I'm trying to remember back to when I was listening to him talk. I swear he said that the United States is the only country recommending it for these kids from 6 months to 5. The only country, I believe. So that tells you everything you need to know. This is hospitalization surge on the Omicron wave, which it's interesting because that was one of the last waves, which was...
That was the one where everybody got it and kind of recovered nicely.
Yes.
Most people. Not all, but most. Which I always find it odd. How do they know it's an Omicron variant?
Being there's no test for it?
Yeah.
It's interesting, I know. This says since the start of the pandemic, about 480 children under 5 are counted among the million that have died. So 480 children under 5, which I would bet money that number is not even close, being it says about. And then, I highly doubt that number. Keep in mind, like when my father-in-law passed away, they blamed COVID. And
America is the only country in the world that authorizes COVID shots for infants.
So there you go. So if you...
I verified it. Just because that was a bold statement.
No, I appreciate you doing that because I don't want to be wrong. But yeah, so there you go. The only country in the world to authorize that shot for infants.
It's an emergency use authorization. This is factual.
When does that end? That should have already ended, the emergency use part.
It won't end because so this is why they don't put Comirnaty on the market, number one, because it's ineffective now by their own words. Like there's plenty of instances where they have talked about the efficacy that we were told that once you get it, you won't ever get COVID. And then it dropped to like 93% or 97 to 93 to now it's like 38% efficacy if you believe any of that data. I don't know. I'm just rambling on here because it just makes me angry that. So if they would have, Comirnaty, that's how they rope-a-doped everybody into trying to get vaccinated. They said, oh, look, we released Comirnaty, and it's a real vaccine, so now there's no excuse. You can't have an exception because it's recognized on the thing. Comirnaty is not in production in the U.S. because if it were, then, and I think Pfizer is the one that owns that, or it's part of their, then the other companies, Johnson & Johnson, and Moderna would not be allowed to use their shots, because once the EUA goes away, once something is recognized and is viable. So the emergency use means, hey, we're just trying to find a way to save everybody.
Right.
Sorry. So it's a good thing to have an emergency use authorization sometimes.
Sure.
But they said that Comirnaty is out, and so now it's authorized vaccine. So they forced a bunch of people in the military, businesses were like, oh, no, it's authorized, so now you got to get it. And people who trust the news and trust what's being said by these talking people who read, like Ron Burgundy from Anchorman, that's all they are. They trusted them to like, oh, well, it's approved now, so now it's safe, I can get it. No, you still have to sign documents saying that you're participating in an experiment. It's experimental, because as soon as they release, that's why they can't acknowledge if it works, ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. If they work, then they can't give out any vaccines, because it gets rid of the emergency use authorization. This is all out there. I'm not making this up. I might have, somebody can fact check me, and I'm sure I misspoke somewhere along here. But at the end of the day, you can't have all those experimental use vaccines if something is recognized as working and approved by the FDA.
And they couldn't make a fortune off the vaccines and stuff because,
Well, that's part of the reason, right? That's why
there's no patent, so it's free. Yeah, it's cheap.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of things, and I don't know if it works. I mean, the president said that hydroxychloroquine works, and then people went crazy saying that you're going to die if you take it. Well, I took it when I was in the service for malaria, and I didn't die. And I have a heart. And I take heart medicine or whatever, blood pressure medicine.
And it was a miracle drug before he said those words.
Yeah. So it's just interesting. I'm not saying what is correct. I'm saying there's so much information out there that I don't know what to believe. And so in the meantime, I'm not going to pollute my body any more than I already do with my own bad decisions with my food and
facts.
Drink preferences, free will. Anyway, so I mean, I would just look it up and make sure that you have all the data. Read the inserts to all vaccines these days.
And keep in mind, even if you give your infant, this vaccine, that doesn't prevent them from getting COVID. Just means it won't be as severe, which you cannot prove that theory because you have no clue how it would be or wouldn't be. So you could say, oh, if you take the vaccine, it's not as severe. You have nothing. You can't prove that because I'd have to get the virus before, see how it was for me, then get it again with the vaccine to prove that. So it's an open-ended, you can't prove it, but we can say it.
Well, the interesting thing for me out of all this, if there's any good, it's that I pay attention now more to the wording of the documents, because you can go get a chickenpox vaccine, and if you read the fine print, it may or may not keep you from getting chickenpox.
You still get chickenpox because a lady got chickenpox and she was vaccinated from chickenpox. This was last year.
Yeah, so again, when I was a kid, I had to go get chickenpox from my brother, basically. It was like how they used to treat.
That's what we did. My brother, I had it, or my brother.
Yeah, Mom made us play together.
Yeah, exactly, because
so we both dealt with it at the same time. And
exactly. Yeah, I don't know. All right, pause the meal of the day, wrap this bad boy up. Take a moment, close your eyes, think about what you are grateful for today. Give thanks for how far you've come, how much you've transformed, and how much you're still involved, how much you're still evolving each day. Yeah, going to Red Sox game tonight.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. We'll see how the Red Sox do.
Now that I've given your birthday away, that'll be easier for people to steal your identity.
Trust me, no one out there wants my identity because my credit sucks. Yeah, you don't want my identity, trust me.
Is that the perils of being a small business owner?
Yeah, and getting divorced, yes, very much so. Yeah, you don't want my identity. Yeah, so we'll see. The Red Sox didn't sweep the series. They lost Saturday night, but they won yesterday, and they won Friday against the
I like to see the Cardinals lose.
Cardinals, yeah.
Just because I lived there when Pujols betrayed them all, and I saw it coming from a mile away.
Today they play the Detroit Tigers, so
Yeah, nobody cares about the Tigers.
I know. That's hopefully they'll win this game, and we'll see. And then I think come July they start to play some harder teams. So because the Red Sox started out.
Cheat Stros, when are they playing them again?
I don't know if they are anymore this year, but they play the Yankees. They play Tampa Bay because they've been playing some easier teams. Like the Athletics are just crap this year.
I'm just going to change every baseball team name with cheat in it somehow. The Yankees.
All right. So once again,
Cheat Sox.
thank you to our sponsors. Our new
Very
one,
much. Appreciate it.
Wicked Awesome Adventures. Krista Kibbe, reach out to her about any of your travel needs.
Look forward to having a good week.
Yes. Noise Arrest Fireworks. Now's the time to buy your fireworks. Fourth's coming up really fast.
Yeah, the lines will be super long here.
Yeah, now's the time to go. And she said everything is still 50% off up until at least June 30th. And then I think it will depend when she gets closer because if her supply gets low, she takes away the 50% obviously because,
supply and demand.
Cause
Capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then obviously if you want to get your driveway paved.
So there's no.
paving.
Yeah, so we're not going to run out of snakes and sparklers?
I don't think so, no. No, she was worried. I think it was last year or the year before. There was one year she was worried because everything coming from, obviously, fireworks come from China. It is what it is. It's the one thing I wholeheartedly support China selling us is fireworks because they do a good job with them. And I love fireworks. But she was worried that year for sure. But it did work out for her. And then this year I haven't heard any sort of issues there. But they come in those containers from China. It's the whole process.
Yeah, once the renters all start coming up and the second home people start coming up here in the next 5 or 6 days, it's going to get
crazy busy there.
What's today? The 20th. Yeah, so you got about a week before it starts getting super busy.
Yeah, and anytime around and she said she was open from 10 to 6 right now, and obviously as she gets closer to the 4th, it'll be not 24 hours, but right. She'll there a long time. Yeah. It's tough for her. Like, it's a great business to be in. She's been in it a long time, but you basically get paid once a year, and you have to survive for the rest of the year. And the only other time you sell some fireworks is around New Year's. But it's a tough business to be in. But she loves it. She does an awesome job. Still, if you want to put a show together for you, I told her like, hey, why don't you put my show together now before you get too busy and it's harder for you, and I can pick them up at some point. So
hey, I met some guys on the 100-mile wilderness that actually, this was up in Maine. They're from Connecticut. They knew about Newport because there's a gym expo, GEM, some type of gym expo.
Oh, gym. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like from
stones and stuff.
Yeah, like from mining and ores and all that stuff. Because we used to have a couple mines here in town. But anyway, they actually buy their fireworks here.
Really?
Transport them
illegally
across state lines. But they knew all about Newport when I talked to them. They were like, "Oh yeah, we go to the thing, we stay at the Crow's Nest, and we buy our fireworks up there on the hill." So I assume that's who they're talking about.
Noise Arrest, right up on the hill, heading out of town, right on the left.
Yeah. As they go back through Vermont, probably.
Yeah. Probably.
And this was a few years ago. I'm sure they've learned their lesson and no longer illegally buy fireworks and transport them across.
You legally can buy them in New Hampshire. What you do with them after is...
Yeah, that's true.
It's not our concern. All right, guys. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.